I, 29 female, feel desperate for affection from him. 32 male, but nothing seems to be working. Hey Reddit, this seems like it should be a small issue, but I have become desperately unhappy because of it. I really need some help. So, we have been dating for around 2 years and living together around half of that time. For the first 7 months or so, he was so affectionate that I was honestly concerned it would be too much for me going forward. Then we moved in together and hit a rough patch in our relationship, which we are past now, but the affection has all but disappeared on his end. We used to kiss passionately, make out, hug often, have sex all the time, cuddle, and get tangled up in each other, etc. For the past 7 months or so, I have started to feel increasingly desperate and resentful because these things don't happen anymore. At the same time, I feel like maybe I'm just being really clingy and should be happy with what I get. Here is a typical day in our lives. We wake up together and he is usually reading on his phone. When I try to cuddle, he will sometimes put his phone down and hug me for a few seconds. But usually, he just reaches over and pats my head or gives my hand a quick squeeze before resuming what he was doing. We get ready for the day and we'll hug each other and peck each other on the lips before we leave. We don't interact much while at work. When we get home, we again give each other a hug and a peck on the lips. At some point, we will either play video games or watch a show. When we watch a show, he usually holds my hand. I depend on this a lot because it's one of the only times I feel like I am receiving affection. If he doesn't hold my hand or he says he is too hot to cuddle, I feel unreasonably dejected. We go to bed together and usually read or do our own things. He will say goodnight and peck me on the lips and usually says he is too tired, just doesn't want to fall asleep holding me, which he knows I love. I have expressed to him that I want more affection, and at first, he said our level of affection was perfectly normal and fine. When I pressed the issue, he said we could set aside 10 minutes or so before bed to cuddle together. I was thrilled. However, for the few nights it has happened, he literally just drapes one arm over me while laying with his eyes closed. I rub his arm, touch his face, kiss him, etc., in an effort to get him to reciprocate, but he just continues laying there. I am so sad. When we are together, I am desperately hoping for some scraps of affection. He does give me hugs and kisses randomly sometimes, but we never make out or cuddle hard together. We still do have sex a couple of times a week, but I wish it was more because that was the only time I feel truly wanted. How can I communicate this to him? Are we just incompatible? Please help. Now, this one I feel is kind of a doozy because there can be so many options as of what is happening with this guy, right? Option number one, it is that this guy doesn't know how to do relationships after the honeymoon stage it's over. I know it is usually said that the honeymoon stage lasts between 6 to 9 months if you really stretch it, but there can be relationships where the honeymoon stage lasts until the relationship finally faces its first big problem. And as OP said, they have been together for 2 years and they were perfectly fine until they hit this rough patch. And after that, things have never been the same with him. So usually when people describe when they are in love, they always describe these intense feelings. But that's just the honeymoon stage. So when love finally settles in and you discover that love is not like exciting and thrilling all the time and it's actually more like a comfort place. Like it is very calm and you don't feel butterflies or explosions inside you every time you are with your partner, or you do not have this need to always touch them and be around them. When you lose that, when you lose those feelings, sometimes people think that love died because they are not excited anymore. So when these feelings die down, a lot of people think that that's the end of love. That's where love finishes for the relationship and the relationship needs to end as well. So when those feelings die down, and you are faced with a fight and you are starting to realize that your partner it's not perfect and amazing 100% of the time, and you start to discover all of these things, and you are like, no, but love is supposed to be thrilling and perfect and amazing, and I'm not feeling those things anymore. Some people want out of the relationship, And if you're faced with someone who is like that, this is very sad, but there's absolutely nothing you can do to help the situation because that person is not ready for a committed relationship. Like that person wants the thrill and the strong emotions, and a long lasting relationship cannot give you that. A long lasting relationship, it's supposed to be calm and relaxed and you can have fun together. But what I mean with calm and relaxing, it means that love should feel like a home. It should feel like a place you can rest on. It's not a roller coaster all the time, and some people don't like that. And option 2 of what might be happening is that these two are not really over the rough patch that they hit. Like they may be still thinking about it, or maybe they are holding back like resentful feelings for each other or about what happened, or they feel like the situation wasn't really resolved. Like it happens so much among couples that when they are faced with a fight or a big issue, sometimes they go like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgive you, or whatever, because they just want to get over it, but they really don't talk or don't say what they truly feel because they might think that if they do, they will just cause more conflict among the relationship, and they don't want that. They want peace. They want to go back to a peaceful time in their relationship. They don't want to go over what happened. But sometimes you need to. Sometimes you do need to talk about absolutely everything that you are feeling and why you're feeling it and what bothers you, because if you don't, then you harvest those feelings inside you, and that can start poisoning you from inside out. And a huge example of why I think this might be happening is because she said that things have not been the same since that rough patch. He has not been as affectionate as he was before. Things have not been the same. I don't feel as loved as before. Like she is blaming the state of the relationship still on that rough patch. She's saying that after that rough patch, things are not the same. So she's clearly still holding on to that rough patch, and she's still blaming that rough patch. So before she breaks up with him, I think that it would be great for her to sit down and revisit the rough patch and be like, is there something that is still bothering you or troubling you about that thing bad that happened between us? Because I feel like after that we're not the same. And it's pretty normal as well when you are faced with a big fight in your relationship to sometimes hold back insecurities. Misunderstandings or fights in a relationship can easily bring back all the insecurities or wake up new ones. Because you start realizing that maybe you are not 100% compatible with your partner. You start realizing that you are different in some things, and you start realizing that there are these things in the relationship that you need to work on, and you are afraid that if you don't succeed, the relationship will end, and you don't want to because you love that person. And so what happens is that sometimes the problem is not the relationship, but the problem is inside you with these new insecurities that you have found or have woken up again. And so you start focusing only on the bad instead of realizing that maybe the relationship is changing and that it's good that it's changing. That's what's supposed to happen with relationships. You start living in the past and you are always thinking that he used to do that and he used to be like this and he used to do that as well. And yeah, that was him in the honeymoon stage, but now this is him in a more mature and evolved relationship. But that doesn't mean that the relationship is bad, but you're feeling so insecure and hurt inside that you can only focus on the bad. As always, the solution is to sit down and talk. And again, she should ask him how he's feeling in the relationship, if there are still things that bother him about the issue, or if there's something new that bothers him. And then maybe she can also talk about how she's feeling inside, how she feels like she is a bother and she's clingy and she's all of those things that I insist that he might not see her like that, but she's feeling insecure. So she's being like, no, 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 I'm sure that he thinks I'm annoying and he doesn't want me there. And it happens to the best of us. It's very normal for you to feel like that inside a relationship. We are human beings and we can spend some time in our lives feeling insecure about our positions in life. There's nothing wrong about feeling insecure inside your relationship. What's bad is for you to assume that there's no way to fix it and that you just need to run away. Having a talk about these issues and just checking up with your partner and how they're feeling and how you're feeling can actually save your relationship and improve it. But you need to keep your mind open that relationships and dynamics inside the relationships change. And that's also okay. And if you realize that that dynamic is not for you, then yes, you should leave.